Uh, whew. Hey, you guys, I don't think this is a drill. You know where the escape pods are? Hello? Hello? Oh man, I'm on my own. I gotta get out of here. Oh, I found an escape pod. I'm sure to be safe now. Well, I'm on my trip to whatever planet this is. How about we check out how I made that diorama right there? All this weekend. No Skill Customs. The first thing you're going to need to do this project is some gray archway pieces from the Tantive IV corridor set. Now, if you're willing to split things in half, then you actually only need one Tantive IV corridor because that'll give you 4 of these. If you're not, then you're going to need 2 corridors so you can get, because you're going to need 6 of them. And well, that would give you 2 extras then. So when you put them together, you're going to want that front one to be a solid piece that you haven't split in half. But the back too, if you feel like splitting them in half, you can. The front one, you don't want to split that in half, so that way the pipes can, they don't stick all the way out to the front. There's no way to avoid that if you split them in half because they're too skinny. The next thing you're going to need are some dowels. That's these rods that are going from left to right, and they're actually not only are they functional in that they make it look more accurate to the scene, but they're actually the only things that are holding these 3 archway pieces together. Then, because they have this slanted front edge to them, you're going to need some sort of flooring or something to prop them up a little bit. I have 2 Tantive 4 corridor sets so that I can have my walls face one another, and that actually leaves you with one extra little bit of flooring, which is what you see here. And that's the perfect height to prop them up nicely. Another option, you could just use a piece of wood, or you could maybe use the bridge part from the Power of the Force 2 Death Star Escape set. One bridge kind of makes it too narrow, so you will need 2, so that means you'd have to get 2 of those sets. With the second set of arches, I actually never use a full-size dowel. All of them are half the size of the dowels on the other side, just to make it more accurate to the movie. So there's 2 dowels at the top and bottom, going from the first panel archway to the middle one, and then I only have 1 dowel running from the middle archway to the back, and that's kind of hidden so that it'll be out of sight when you look at the display straight on. Alright, in case you're interested, I'm going to show you how to split one of the archways right now. Just a little warning, it's not easy and you might break something.
Yeah, because it is glued together. It's totally not meant to do this. They all have a back and a front. I wouldn't split it here because you're going to make scratches and notches in the part we're actually going to see. So I went to the back and split it there. It's easier to see what you're doing. It's going to make a lot of horrible noises too. This way you could do multiple scenes. The Princess Leia giving R2-D2 the plans scene, and you can do the Captain Antilles getting choked scene. I figure since they made a figure of Captain Antilles, you ought to do that scene too.
Now don't split them all in half. A couple of them you're going to want maybe intact, but splitting them in half does double the number of these little wall frame pieces you have. To make the pipes, you're going to have to use some wooden dowels. Now, I realize you're probably not like me and you don't have a bin labeled Bert's Bin of Dowels, but other things you can use include bamboo skewers and chopsticks. Some chopsticks are rather thick and they would work pretty nicely. You just don't want to find anything too thin. Once you've chosen a dowel, you need to find a drill bit that matches in terms of diameter so that the holes you drill are really tight.
Okay, so like I said, you need to find a drill bit that matches the dowels you have. I tried to find a dowel that matched the size of these little rings, because basically what happens is when there's a pipe going through there, the whole ring is missing, not just the center hole. So I found this one, and all you got to do is just check the end there. Now you want to drill straight down into it so that it'll come out the backside in the right spot, even though we probably won't see that backside. Now, if you want the pipe so that it's not going all the way through, you can do that fairly easy. You can feel when you've gotten through one side of this little frame and not the other. So if you like the look of this and you want that to be showing up in the foreground of your scene, you can just drill the backside and stick the wooden dowel just through the back, and that'll work out pretty nicely.
Then you need to determine the length of your dowels in relationship to the flooring. You could just make it the full length of the floor, or maybe just a partial length of the floor, leave it kind of some empty space at the back end of the floor. And keep in mind, if you want to try to do what I did, half of my dowels, well, some of my dowels were the full length, and then some of them were half-length dowels, just to make it more accurate to the movie. I cut my dowels on a bandsaw, but you know, if you really had to, you can use a nice pair of wire cutters. It wouldn't look too pretty, but really the ends of the dowels aren't going to be seen anyways, so just something to think about. Then after that, before you spray paint the dowels, there's going to be something else we're going to make that you're going to want to spray paint with the dowels at the same time. If you watch the scene, you'll see these weird canister pipe things in the foreground, so we're going to make a couple of those real quick. So we're going to take some of those gumball machine little containers and add them onto actually the ends of one of those candy cane containers, you know, those ones that they have at Christmas time. They have M&Ms or Skittles or something tasty inside. If you don't have those candy cane containers, I totally understand. You could just use perhaps just a roll of paper or like board or something like that. Now we're going to cut the piece that we're going to use for the pipe. It cuts fairly easily with a utility knife. You could maybe even cut it with a really sharp but small pair of scissors. Just be careful, you don't want to end up doing that thing where you cut it into a spiral and by the time you're done, there's nothing left of it. I think that stands pretty well. Maybe I'll just shave off a little bit here. There we go. Add the cap and you're good. Just got to spray paint. Okay, once you spray painted those weird pipe container things and your dowels, you're ready to put this all together. And remember, on the left side I have just 2 dowels running the full length, only at the top, but I made sure not to drill all the way through so that on the front edge you can still see the details. You don't see the dowels. And then on the right hand side I did 2 dowels at the top and bottom, just from the front section to the middle section, and then just one little one at the back. You might want 2 in the back so it doesn't wiggle so much, but otherwise it looks okay. And then you can start putting together. Rest them on the flooring that you've chosen. And you might have noticed this guy I've got hanging out in the back here. This piece came from an X-Men 2 Magneto set. Really hard to find. So if you can't find that, because it's like an $80 figure, I just happened to find it in a box of random toy parts, thought it looked cool, had no idea it had any value. But if you don't have that, you could always just spray paint a little red dot in the middle of blackness. It's really dark back there, so it doesn't have to be anything in particular. I added a little red light to mine, a little touch light that I thought made a cool looking glow in the back. And then you're ready to add your figures. So you know my favorite R2-D2 is always that Resurgence of the Jedi one. But really, just any mostly cleanish R2-D2 will work great. And here's the Vintage Original Trilogy Collection Princess Leia. Takes a little bit posing, and she does not have any foot peg holes in her feet. So some sticky tack is necessary to get her to stand up. Like so, I just put a little bit on the one foot that's planted flat on the ground, and actually R2-D2 leaning against her, towards her, kind of keeps her up. Okay? And then finally, if you look in the movie, there's one extra little rod, so I used another piece of wood, made that last rod there. Okay? And all the wood, I just spray painted it with some pewter spray paint. If you look at the movie, though, it's actually a little bit more like light gray, but I kind of like the way this looked. And if you watch my other video, the Tantive IV quarter, I was talking about, oh, there she goes. I was talking about how I was going to show you how to dirty this all up, but I watched the movie, and it's actually not dirty. I was surprised. I just went back and just watched the scene again. And what it is it's just so dark. Feels like it was dirty, but it's actually not that dirty. And then finally I got these 2 guys all spray painted, and I just made these archways just wide enough so that they could fit. They could kind of tuck back in there just to add a little extra detail, make it a little more accurate to the movie. I was thinking, because there's actually 2 more hanging down, it's probably an easy way to get these guys, maybe wire them up there or just glue them in. You could have 2 more hanging at the top there, like that. That would be pretty sweet. So
I just didn't have any more of those candy cane candy holders. I should mention that this whole display, as you see it right now, is actually done with just one single Tantive IV corridor set because I split all these. But like I said earlier, splitting them, you know, it makes the backside look dumb, but no one's ever going to see it. And it's a little nerve-wracking because it's totally not meant to be split. It makes all these horrible cracking sounds, but maybe worth a try. All right, here's a quick breakdown of my Captain Antilles scene. First of all, the gray archways show up here on the sides. I've just sticky tacked them to the corridor door from the Tantive IV corridor set. I have spray painted them first, though. I spray painted them white, but just one single coat, so that they're a lighter gray than they originally were. In the background behind the corridor door, this is just an extra door from the corridor sets. I have my old corridor from Hole in the Ground Productions. You could just use, if you have an extra section of your Hasbro one, that would work just fine. And of course, there's a vintage collection Tantive IV Rebel Fleet Trooper. And I have various Stormtroopers here. And yes, I know my Darth Vader is not a New Hope Darth Vader. He is actually the Black Series Darth Vader, 3.75-inch Darth Vader, the one that came with the little blast mark from Bespin when he's in Cloud City and he catches Han Solo's gun. I just felt like that hand was the one that kind of held up Captain Antilles the best. And Captain Antilles is from the Saga collection. This little doodad thing on the right, this little column there, is from an Attack of the Clones Deluxe Obi-Wan Kenobi Showdown set. And yeah, that's it. Pretty fun little set there. So if you know of a better New Hope style Vader that I could use for choking my Captain Antilles, let me know. I just couldn't find one with the open hand. And if you don't know the difference, basically in the New Hope, the fabric right here covers over his armor. And every other movie, Empire and Jedi, the armor covers over the fabric. So that's the main difference. The other difference is Empire and Jedi, the stripes on the gloves follow his arm, whereas in A New Hope, the stripes go in the opposite direction of his arm. Well, that wraps up this video. Like and subscribe so that when this escape pod finally lands somewhere and I get a chance to make another video, you'll know about it. See you then.